like people get attracted to the rewards of entrepreneurship. But the reality is you have to just love what you're doing, and eventually those come. But most people jump into entrepreneurship. They want the fancy stuff right away. They don't get it, and then they get disappointed, and they quit.
Hey guys, welcome to Troy Gramling Podcast. It is an honor to hang out with you guys. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. It helps us out with the algorithm and all the different things that go on. And check out some of the old episodes. You know, our heart is to partner with you so you can reach your potential. And so we talk to a bunch of different people from a bunch of different walks of life, because I really believe everybody's got something that they can teach us. And it's been a whole lot of fun. I am glad you're here today. We have a very special guest. We have a young entrepreneur who's had great success. We're going to talk to him about a whole lot of things. Alex Albarran, did I say it right?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Troy.
Well, thanks so much for being here today.
Absolutely. It feels full circle. I've been going to this church since I was like 12 years old, and I've always looked up at you as like, wow, it's like you're like a mystical figure, and now I'm having a conversation with you. So no, thanks for having me on.
Well, you've gotten older, but I haven't, you know what I'm saying? 12 years old. So now we'll get to your entrepreneurship and all of that, but how did you end up coming to church here? Did your family come? Did you hear? How'd you end up here?
Yeah, so my stepmom used to volunteer like Saturday, Sunday in the kids ministry. And then my family and I, we'd go and volunteer as well. So I got the taste on the volunteer side first. And then I just started to go more and more. And then I went on the missions trip and for Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria. And then just took it from there. Yeah.
Wow. So, so you're 12 years old, grew up. Where did you go to school? Did you go to Cooper City here?
Cooper City High School. My house is 90 seconds from here. I could have ran here.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Now, did you go off to college? Tell me how you got, well, first, let's start here. Tell me what you do, first of all, because I think everybody would be kind of interested in what you do.
Yeah, so now I have a marketing business. I've helped over 1,000 business owners and entrepreneurs grow their business. And so think of like YouTube, just like we're doing now, growing a business on YouTube, their marketing, lead flow, their sales. And so I've been doing that for almost 8 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so right after high school. So I did college, but like online, not really doing it. I didn't have the college experience. And then I built my business full time.
Now, so you're always interested in business?
Always. Because I grew up with scarcity financially. I didn't grow up with money, food stamps. It was always late rent, eviction notices. And so it was never an abundance in my household. And so I always had the hunger and the hustle to figure things out. And so right after high school, I started my business.
Wow. So now how did you start? So, I mean, because, you know, for a lot of folks, that's always the most difficult part is getting off, you know, sitting there. How'd you start? What does that look like?
I think most people, they think they're perfectionists when it comes to business, but they're just trying to procrastinate. They want the perfect business and the perfect idea at the perfect time frame, and they want everything to map out, but they're just scared of failure most of the time. Where I just dove in saying, hey, I already have no money. I sold my car to fund my business. You know, I didn't have any money already, so if I fail, I learned, so I didn't really come in with any expectation.
Yeah.
I think most people want to start a business and immediately become successful, and when that doesn't happen, they're disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always great, too, to start young because, like you said, you really didn't have anything to
No
lose.
bills.
Yeah.
I didn't have any kids to support because that's a real struggle. Like if I was, 35, 45 years old, I have a mortgage, right, a family, and I want to start a business. Now you're risking their financial stability for your dream, which is a different proposition versus me, a young 18-year-old kid. I had nothing to lose.
Right.
So,
well, you've had success since then. Do you find it more challenging as you have greater success to continue to take risk? Have you sensed any of that at all? Or because you're still a young guy, so do you still, have that sense of go for it all? Or as you've had more success, you got more to lose. How do you deal with that?
It's a challenge because once you start making some money and you have some success, you're like, should I take some risk off the table? Should I save more money? Should I be reinvesting back into my business? And so I think if you're not evolving, you're not going to grow. So I understand that. That's my number one focus is I have to reinvest, I have to evolve, I have to change. But I do have to take some risk off the table and save money. So it is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that kind of double-edged sword. What got you to where you are is more challenging to continue to do the more you have along the way, because fear is a great it can motivate us, but also it kind of can keep us in our seat, keep us from stepping up.
Because it's always the fear of going broke.
Right.
Or like I still have that now. When if you look at logically my situation, it's not a reality, thankfully, but I still have that fear in the back of my mind of like, oh, but what if I overinvest in my business? I should save more. Because scarcity is all about you have a little pile of money and you just save every little bit that you have, but it's never going to keep growing, versus tithing as much as you can, reinvesting in your business and having more of the abundance mindset and lifestyle. So it is a big challenge, but I feel like over time, I'll eventually get rid of that. Yeah. Eventually, hopefully.
Well, the Bible even talks about what we sow is what we reap. And I grew up in Arkansas. And so every farmer has to decide how much seed are they going to put back in the ground, how much are they going to eat, and how much are they going to sell, you know? And no matter what business you're in, you kind of have that as you succeed, as a harvest comes in, trying to figure out what is the right amount to put back into the business, what is the right amount to give away, that whole process. We're reading a book now called, what's the name of that book? What's the name of it? Prosper. Thou Shalt Prosper. It's, have you ever heard of the book?
No.
Can you give me a copy?
Yeah.
It's written by a rabbi, and it's really interesting because in the book, he talks about how we tend to see, people tend to see business almost as dirty, in the sense that, and he talks about how, all the TV shows, all those kind of things, the business person is the bad person. And really something that I thought was really good is he talks about how, yes, we want to be generous. The Bible tells us to give back, but there's also good in just business itself, in the sense that when you're in business, you're first of all, you're not making any money. Nobody's giving you money, right? You provided the service and somebody gave you money for that in exchange for that. So you did something good for someone, something they liked or wanted, a service. They gave you resources, and then you provided jobs for people. In other words, he just talks about how a lot of times people who make money feel guilty, and the only way they can be redeemed is to give it all away. And he said, yes, there's value in being generous. The Bible tells us to be generous, but there's also value in just business itself, which is, especially in America and as a Christian, a lot of times we don't see money that way. We're almost afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of my clients are Christian, they're faith-based, and a lot of the time they have a somewhat negative relationship with money where they look at it as, oh, if they're rich, they must have done something bad to get it. And when you think about it, it's like, okay, I started a business, you're delivering value to your customers, your clients, you're delivering jobs, taxes, and then with the income that you make, you're tithing more, you're donating more. So if anything, it's selfless to have more money, because with money, that's a power of change. Right. You can make so much change, so much impact with money, but when you don't have money, you're just focusing on yourself, right? I need to pay my bills, I need this, I need that. But when you're doing really well financially, you can help so many other people and make an impact.
Yeah, money gives you options, different opportunities. Here's the book, and again, just because somebody wrote a book doesn't mean they know everything, but it's interesting and challenges the way we often think about resources and the difference that they can make, and business itself, not just the money, but just the act. I've never, to be honest, I just really hadn't thought about the CEO of Walmart and how much good he does for our community, even if he never gave a dime away, in the sense that he provides jobs, he provides services, he provides it at a good price, because we tend to be raised in a way of thinking, well, he's taking advantage of us.
Right.
He's got to be a bad guy, because anybody that's a CEO or a business person is a bad, manipulative, selfish person. And there are some, just like there are bad people in everything, but to not just throw it all away simply because some people misuse it or manipulate people along the way. So, you've had success at a young age. How have you dealt with that? Just the temptation that comes with that, the arrogance that can come with that, all of those things.
Right. Well, think of an NFL athlete. They go to college, now they make money in college. But back in the day, they used to make no money in college. Then they would sign a $10 million contract with a $5 million signing bonus. They went from nothing to having everything too quickly. right? So I'm lucky in my business that I've been doing it for 8 years, and it's been a gradual climb, and it's been a roller coaster. There's been great years, and the next year I'm like, what is going on? Like, I thought this was going to just be guaranteed forever. And so over time, it's been a gradual climb to where I've been able to value money, not take it for granted, because what's working today for my business is not guaranteed to work for the next 5 years, 10 years. And so I think with some people in business, they make no money, then they make a bunch of money, and it's just too much at once. They don't know how to manage it. So luckily, I've gradually grown my business and my finances over time.
Right. And you say gradually, but how old are you?
Going to be 26 next
All right,
month.
so you're 26.
But entrepreneurship is like dog years. So 8 years is like times 3 or 4.
So you're 26. You just bought a Rolls Royce.
Yes.
So in my mind, that's pretty straight. That's pretty straight up. That's pretty not normal. So what would you say? What's the difference between you and the other person that's out there that works hard? What is it hard work? What's the difference? Would you say?
So I think when you look at consistency, it's something that I've heard you speak so many times, so many people, that's the missing piece. They have the skill set, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, but they're missing consistency. It's like going to the gym. Nobody is expecting a six-pack if they go to the gym today, don't go for a month, then they go next month, and it's just sporadic. So I never quit on my business. I always kept pushing, always kept growing, but again, always changing. Because a lot of people think, okay, my business did well in 2019, so the strategies that worked then are going to just magically continue forever. But you have to change things. I've always evolved. I'm never comfortable. So I think it's the consistency and the fact that I'm never content. Even right now, it's my best revenue ever, the last 3 months, the last year, but I'm not comfortable. I'm not satisfied because what's working could turn off tomorrow. So it's always evolving, always changing.
Now, have you, as you have had success, how has that changed your life?
I've been able to be more generous, right? But I think you've even said this many times where if you don't have a lot of money, still give. If you have $100, give $10,
right,
or leave a good tip at the restaurant. So I've always had that. Or even for the Hurricane Maria trip, right, I didn't even have the money to go. You guys sponsored me, if you remember that. That was 2017 or so. But I still donated my time. So I was always trying to still give, even when I didn't have a lot. But now that I've made a lot, I can't change who I am. So I still have to give in the same proportionate amount, even though I'm making a lot more now.
Right, right. Generosity really has nothing to do with how much you have. Sadly, I've seen a lot of people that have a lot and they hang onto it tightly, and people who have very little and yet are quite generous. And it's always amazing to me how even happiness isn't determined by how much you have. Generosity has a lot bigger impact, seems like, on our joy than how much it is that you actually make. Now, did you start the business because you loved it, or did you start the business with another end in mind? Or, sometimes people say, well, if you do what you love, you never have to go to work a day in your life. Or is there a different motivation? Like, are you in a business you love, or do you love business, or what's your motivation?
Right. I love business. I just love being able to control my destiny. I couldn't imagine being in a job where I was getting a 1% raise every year for the next million years, right? Like, I controlled my destiny, whether I was successful or whether I failed. So that alone, I love the game of business in itself. Like the Rolls Royce and the fancy stuff. I make videos all the time about, like, people get attracted to the rewards of entrepreneurship. But the reality is you have to just love what you're doing, and eventually those come. But most people jump into entrepreneurship. They want the fancy stuff right away. They don't get it, and then they get disappointed, then they quit.
Right, right. So that. Now, who's your inspiration? Like, who are some folks that you look up to that have encouraged you along the way?
Well, besides you, and you have been, like, one quote you always said was, because you have read so many books that you read a book to get one nugget of wisdom. I always remember that because I stopped reading books at a certain point. I stopped learning, right? And that was a part of the issue why I stopped growing at a certain point. I stopped watching YouTube videos. I stopped reading books. But I remember what you said, and you're like, hey, even if you watch a video or read a book, if you get one nugget of wisdom, that's kind of what you're looking for at this point. So I always remembered that. And so, no, thank you for that. And I've been watching you for so many years. And so you've been a big inspiration, but Tony Robbins as well, and other people in my space that I look at them as, hey, they're successful. If they can do it, I can do it as well. right? Because they're human, they bleed red. They're, again, everyday people, but they've been working hard. They've been consistent. And so Tony Robbins, people like you, and people that started from nothing and with consistency, with hard work, built something amazing.
Yeah, and Tony Robbins has been around for a long
Consistency.
time. Yeah.
Right. You're not successful like him for a long period of time unless you're doing the right things, because people can be flash in the pan. Like you see some artists, right? They have some famous songs that if you heard on the radio, you would know, but you're like, oh, who made that? Like, I don't even know their name, you know? And so even people like 50 Cent, he's a rapper, but he's been around for the last 20, 25 years being successful. Right. So I look at people who are successful long-term, because that's a lot different than kind of flash in the pan, quick success.
Yeah, you know, he wrote a book on success that I read parts of it. I need to go back and finish it up. But yeah, now what have your parents thought of entrepreneurship? Did they want you to go out to college, or have they supported you in your journey? Or
yeah, so my dad, I love him, of course, and he'll say that he was wrong. But when I started my business, I'm like, I'm going to start this marketing company. It's going to be great. And my dad was like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard, because he's like, you don't have a marketing degree. You don't have the credentials. But he even said later on, once I was successful, that it was his own fear and insecurity, right? Because as a parent, I'm sure you can agree, most parents want their kids to just be safe.
Right.
They don't necessarily sometimes want them to reach their potential, because that takes risk and you could fail and fall on your face. And so now as time has gone on, my parents see the path and they see the vision. But in the beginning, they were like, no, go to college, get the degree, stay safe and stay comfortable. But I have a lot of clients who are younger, and I tell them, hey, like, your parents aren't going to live your life, so don't let them dictate what you're doing. And even older people who are, 50 years old and their parents are 70 and they're telling them how to live their life. And I'm like, you got to get out of that, because you're going to be looking back when you're 80 with a bunch of regret. I have so many clients that are like, oh, I wish I would have started this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but they just listen to people that aren't doing what they want to do. Right? It's like asking someone, hey, you don't really dress, like, you dress really well. I would ask you for fashion advice. But let's say someone doesn't dress that well. It's like asking them, hey, how would you fix my style? And it's like, well, you're not really the goal. Like, I don't know if I would ask you for advice, but not them. So with business, like, sometimes people, they ask friends, they ask family for financial advice, money advice, business advice. But if you look at their credentials, they're not really in a place, even though they love you, they're not in a place to really give you credible advice. So it's a dangerous slope.
Yeah, I always have, as a pastor, you get lots of advice, whether you ask for it or not. And the Bible tells us that there is, wisdom in many counselors. And so I've always had to try to determine who am I going to listen to. Because if I try to listen to everybody, I really can't hear anybody. And I can't emotionally handle it, because everybody has so many opinions. So one of the things that I did is I decided I was going to listen to those who love me. I was going to listen to those who believe in me. They may not love me, but they see the potential that I have, and those who know more than me, and give those folks priority in my life. Because I think, especially the more success you have, the more opinions that are out there. We were just talking about a book. There's a million books out there, and they all have certain opinions, and trying to figure out which ones you're going to listen to and which ones you aren't is a pretty important decision along the way. How do you do, you're young, how do you deal with that? Do you see that as a benefit and with clients, or do you see that as something you have to kind of work through or with clients?
Well, in the beginning, I had no track record. I have no client success that I could show. It was a big liability. Right, because I look like a baby face now. I was 18 looking like 12, I didn't have a speck of facial hair. So I looked very, very young, but I just didn't have the success to show people, hey, here's why you should believe in me. Now it's not much of an issue, because I have a track record. I have many client success stories, and I have a credibility kind of presence online that people can just look up and see my success. But in the beginning, it was a real challenge. And again, I didn't let that stop me. I just identified it as, hey, I need to do everything I can. I can't change how I look or my age, but I can change my communication style. I can change my skill set. I think most people want to be a leader. They say they want to be a leader, but they're not willing to put the work in themselves to deserve that. Like, why is someone worthy of having a successful business or being a leader? You have to have the skill set. Like, I've done Toastmasters public speaking training. I used to be terrified. Like, if I saw these bright lights, I would have probably just fallen apart, back in the day. But I trained myself. I said, I'm going to become uncomfortable. I'm going to grow. And that's going to make me worthy of growing my business and getting these clients. So I couldn't control my age, but I could control how do I improve my skill set.
Yeah. Success never really goes on sale, does it? I mean,
No, no discounts, no promos.
You have to put in the, and that's the part people don't see. You know, they might see the nice car, they might see the number of clients and the success, but they don't see, you know, that young man who had to go to Toastmasters or read this book or talk to this person to overcome or to learn or to grow and to become, you know, who you are today. And I think that's so important. And, you know, it's exciting to see what's happening in your life, and not only in your life, but how you're able then to transform that and help other people as well. So what do you see in the future?
You know, that's a tough question because I try to be humble in that, like, I can plan for the future, but I always have to evolve. So I think generally, whether it's on YouTube or TikTok or all these different social media platforms, I want to give the younger generation a different person to look at, right? Because on social media now, for the younger generation, I didn't really grow up with social media, but you have 11-year-old, 12 years olds, like they're seeing some crazy stuff on social media. And I want to give them a different positive role model and grow my, channel, grow my business, but just sharing a lot of free value by saying, hey, you can do things differently, right? You don't have to go to college, but just know you're choosing a very difficult life of entrepreneurship and sharing the reality, right? Not just sharing the cars or the fancy end result, sharing, hey, if you want to grow a business, go to Toastmasters, embarrass yourself with public speaking, like get better, improve your skills. So long-term, I don't know where my business is going to go, but I know I want to help a lot of people and spread my message and show kind of the before and after, and that, hey, if I could do it, other people can do it as well.
Now, if people want to find out more about you, where do they go?
So luckily my business is just my name. So Alex Albarran on YouTube, website is alexalbarran.com, Instagram. I have a lot of free videos on YouTube, Alex Albarran. They can look it up, and that's about it.
Now spell that last name.
It's Albarran. We were talking about it before we shot, and it's a Spanish last name, but it's Albarran. I can't roll my R's. My Spanish family is going to exit this video now. But it's Albarran, and then it's you roll the R's. You said you could, right?
No, I can't. My kids can't. They grew up here, but I can't. I can't. I tried. I gave up along the way. Now, so you're 26 and single.
No, I have a fiance.
Oh,
yeah.
So you have a fiance. Because I was going to ask you, that has to be a temptation that you've had to work through. I mean, in the sense that how you're going to deal with the opposite sex and what relationships are real and what are fake, especially online. Because, used to be maybe the folks in your neighborhood knew you and where you shopped and that kind of thing. Like you said, you're online now and you have a big presence. So, there's lots of folks who I'm sure want something from you.
Right. They don't want to help. That's why I love my fiance, because she loves the work that I put in. She motivates me. She's not like, oh, come on, don't work so much or change the way you're doing things. Ever since I've met her, my income, my business has gone up and to the right. It's been more successful because I've had her to motivate me, to help me grow and just mature.
So when's the big day?
May 16th, 2025. I think it's 407 days. I'm counting down the days. I'm ready. Yeah.
Is she from here?
She's from South Carolina, Charleston. She went to Clemson. She came down here for a job, actually. And then right when I saw her, I'm like, I'm going to marry her. And it was done.
Wow.
So
you married a Southern girl.
Yeah. So, thankfully.
Yes, the Southern girls. That's, Stephanie's from Arkansas, of course. That's where we came from. So nothing wrong with those Southern belles, I
guess. Great values, great tradition. It's definitely like a look into the past. That whole area, like South Carolina, Arkansas, North Carolina. I like it. I enjoy it. Yeah.
So now have you been up there to meet her parents?
Absolutely, yeah. That was hard. Her mom is tough. I'm going to send her this video. Her mom is... Yeah, she's tough. So I had to really sell myself and that I'm a serious guy. I'm not just playing games. I'm long-term, want to get married, like that, have kids, that sort of thing. And so no, her family's amazing. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our daughter just got married, a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah, I saw on Instagram. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. So that was, both the boys got married and they married great ladies, but and she married a great young man, but the girls are different. And I still haven't gotten over her not being at home. So
It's a protective thing. Like
I guess.
with guys, you're like, okay, just get out of the house. You know?
Yeah, I was caught off guard by that, to be honest with you. But anyways, you got a while before you have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So now we got just a little bit of time left, but I know that folks watching, they've followed you. And what are some of the mistakes you see people make when it comes to, and not just financial success, but just success in life? Because not only are you succeeding on the business side, but you know, like you said, you're about to get married. You have joy in your heart. What are some of the mistakes you see people make?
Well, I think focus is very important. Just focusing on fiance, dog, house, business. A lot of people have the partying, the temptations, right? All the different things that are out there. Once they see some success, then maybe they overstretch and they buy the car that they really shouldn't have bought. And then they have to change their business to afford the car that they don't really need. So I feel like a lot of people with success, they let distractions enter in, and that kills people's potential a lot. Once they see some success, all the partying and vacations, they lose focus. And then again, they don't grow their business anymore. They think, oh, my business is fine. Like my career's good. What's been working is going to work forever. Let me go on this 2-week trip. Then they come back in 2 years and they're like, wow, my business is dead and I can't rebuild it. So I feel like a lot of people just need to say, what are my key priorities? Family, faith, business, or your career, your health. Beyond that, you can't let anything, and you have to say no.
Right.
I think I've learned that from you a lot, is that sometimes the most important thing is not saying yes to everybody. You'll make everybody else happy besides yourself. Right. So saying no, I think, and focusing is very important.
Yeah. Every no has a relational fallout. You know, and that's what I think makes it so difficult, because no matter who you say no to, they don't want no.
Yeah.
You know, and that's difficult. I remember Braden Looper was a baseball player, and he came to church here. And I'll never forget, I really learned something from him. We were out one day, and we were at a store or something, and I remember him saying to me, the challenge he had, you know, normally I grew up and I shop based on the price tag. You know, it tells me whether I can afford it or not. You know, so I don't. And he said, you know, it's totally different when you can afford anything, and you have to determine whether or not you need it. And because I think a lot of us shop by the price tag. You know, that I can afford it, so I'm going to get it. Which he was asking, especially as a Christ follower, a deeper question, which is, should I? I can afford it. It's not going to affect me financially, but is this what I need to do? And I think as you have success, that becomes a really important question. Or your toys just get bigger and bigger and big, you know, because, you know, you can be, you know, quite a millionaire, whatever they call 100 millionaire, billionaire, you know, and still shop by the price tag. You know, I got this yacht, now I'm gonna get this yacht, right? Got 2 houses, now I'm gonna get 4, or whatever. But to really be able to mature to that point to where you can make decisions based upon, you know, what's best for you, what's best for your family, what's best for the community, and what's the best investment for the resources that you've been blessed with, that you've earned, that God's given you. So
my best investment is Uber Eats. If you look at time saved,
right?
I don't have to go to the store. I don't have to cook. I don't have to even pick up the food that's already cooked. Uber Eats, like, again, I've spent money on stuff where I look back and I'm like, that had made no impact on my happiness, my joy, or anybody else. You know, and so now I don't spend money on clothes. Like these jeans, I've had them for 7 years. So these are back when I was broke jeans, you know? So, but I spend money on things that, like, I see, okay, I'm spending money, but it's an investment. It's either going to grow my business, it's going to make me really, really happy, or like Uber Eats or, you know, Ubers and other things that save time. Because time is extremely valuable. And so that's seemingly like, oh, Uber Eats, like that's obvious. But if you really think about it, you save hours a month.
So you're not a cook.
Well, you remember I had a little meal company too. I cooked meals. I'm scarred from cooking. So I can just take food, put it in the microwave, and then hit 2 or 3 minutes. And then
what about your fiance?
She joined the club. She's like, I don't want to cook. We work hard. We're like, we want to go home, watch some Grey's Anatomy.
So she's okay with Uber Eats.
Starbucks, McDonald's, Pollo Tropical, and we're set. Yeah, we're simple.
What? Now tell me your favorites again.
A McDonald's, Starbucks, and then Pollo Tropical. Like
you see, you're awfully. Chicken. How are you so skinny then to eat at those places and be that skinny? That's crazy. As you get older, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Right.
More smoothies.
Right, Pastor Danny?
I need Jamba Juice. Yeah.
as you get older. Well, man, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
So proud of all that God's doing in your life and your success and just your joy and the impact that you're having on other people. Congrats.
Thank
on
you.
The future marriage. And what's her name?
Grace.
Grace.
Beautiful name. Yeah.
Grace from South Carolina.
Yep.
What town did you say?
Charleston.
Oh, that's a beautiful city too.
Beautiful. Yeah, like the downtown area, it's really, really nice. So,
yeah, that's a beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have grandkids, you may have to have a second home or move to
something like a condo over there. It's
Yeah.
really, really nice. So absolutely.
a beautiful place. Well, thanks for being here, and congrats and best wishes, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. And if you want to check out Alec, tell us again how to spell your name.
Albarran, Alex Albarran, on all the platforms, everything.
Alex Albarran.
Yep.
So check him out and all that he's doing, and be encouraged. It's one of the great things about the day in which we live is social media allows us to celebrate the success of other people. And that's a great way in which to do it. Subscribe if you haven't. It helps us out. The algorithm's always important. Share it with somebody and go back and look at some of the past episodes. Thanks so much. Love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday, 8 a.m. A new one will drop. God bless. Oh, don't forget. I forgot. Don't forget. I got a brand new book out. All right. It's called Potential, the Uncontainable Power of God Within You. And you can pick up a copy today at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or really anywhere you buy books. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.